It's the most sought-after prize in bowling, a dream come true for only one player. It's the 1998 Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. In the number 5 position, two-time Tournament of Champions winner Mark Williams. The number 4 seed, holder of 7 national titles, Steve Hoskins. Number 3 qualifier, looking for that second jewel in bowling's Triple Crown, Mike Miller. In the number 2 position, he's won 29 titles, Walter Ray Williams Jr. And our tournament leader, local favorite from nearby Shawnee, Kansas, Bryan Goebel. There's your outstanding finals field of 5. The greatest players in the game have gathered here in Overland Park, Kansas. We are at Incredible and the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions, the crown jewel on the PBA circuit. Our final stop here on ESPN and the Pro Bowlers Tour. Nice to have you by. Hi, everyone. I'm Phil Ferguson, along with my broadcast partner, 22-time PBA winner, member of the PBA Hall of Fame, Marshall Holman. And Marshall, you've won this prestigious event twice. What does it mean for a player?
Well, it's a very important tournament. You know, with the fact that they're all champions in this tournament, it makes it that much more special. And Phil, $60,000 on top, that'll get my attention. How about you?
I'll tell you one guy that's gotten a lot of attention this fall tour, and that's Walter Ray Williams Jr. Here he is again this week in the top 5.
Well, Walter Ray Williams Jr. once again is showing his dominant play this fall. And you know, in his previous 8 tournaments that he's bowled in, he's finished 3rd twice, he has 1 second place finish, and he's finished 1st 3 times. However, this week, not only will Walter Ray be fighting it out with 4 other proven champions, should he win his opening match, he'll also be combating an extremely partisan crowd, because the tournament leader is Bryan Goebel from nearby Shawnee, Kansas. Now, Goebel's an 8-time winner on tour, but he struggled thus far in 1998. After taking a good portion of the year off, Bryan Goebel has found his game, and at the most opportune time. And given his ability to win, coupled with the hometown support, Goebel should be a very formidable foe, no matter who he bowls. Back up to you, Phil.
All right, thanks a lot, Marshall. We are ready for the opening shot here in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Mark Williams from Beaumont, Texas, 6'1", 40 years of age. He's been out here 18 years with 7 PBA national titles. However, it's been a while since he last won. Cashed in 11 out of 24 events this year. Been a tough year for Williams. Not able to bring it back up, leaving the bucket, Marshall, on the first shot from Mark Williams.
Well, a shot that just did not get up the pocket. The lanes are very, very speed sensitive. So watch the ball go down the lane. You see it's light. There's the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 8. Not only a difficult spare, but as I said, there are lots of ways to miss this, and that's what makes it a difficult spare, Phil.
Amateurs always have trouble on this one. And so does Mark Williams. So he opens the opening match with an open. Steve Hoskins, we watched him last year on the fall tour. He dominated, had a great fall tour, and once again this fall tour, Steve Hoskins, 5'5", 29 years of age, out here for 8 years, but what a player.
Well, he's a very confident player, and I think it's really Steve's biggest asset is his own belief in his game. And he too comes in line. He leaves the 1, the 2, and the 10 pin. That's the washout.
Let me ask you, Marshall, the players had a little bit of time out there to practice. There you see Hoskins cashing in 16 to 25 events, but what's going on out there? Neither player hitting the pocket.
Well, the lanes are a lot slicker than they have been in past weeks. The PBA's using a different oil this week, actually using less oil, but it reacts as if there's more. That ball is left of his target, and right now, after the first frame, both players with 8 counts, even match. You'll see the ball is just too far to the left. He gets the 2 pin, but you can see that reaction. He's not pleased with that at all.
And really, maybe the first few shots are pumped up a little bit?
Well, certainly, and you know, that can have the effect of having a little too much speed on the ball, not giving the ball a chance to hook back. Take a look at Hoskins' position by round. Very consistent this week.
Able to carry it.
And Steve likes this arena format. He wants to get those people charged up and take some of that energy, stick it in his own body.
Williams has won the Tournament of Champions twice. Trying to bring it back. Unable to do so.
Once again, ball coming in light. Mark has to do one of a couple of things. Either move a little further to the right, grab the dry boards earlier, or slow the ball speed down. And I think that the key to this week was slower ball speed as he goes after the 2 and 5. He makes it.
Well, he lost to Steve Hoskins, 225 to 207 in match play this week. But really, that final game last night, 278, and knocked Randy Peterson out of the show.
What a heartbreak. Randy Peterson was 104 pins ahead of Mark Williams, and when it was all said and done, Randy's 6th and Mark's here, and you got to congratulate Mark Williams for getting it done last night. And there he breaks the ice with his first strike in this opening match, and take a look at the way the ball drives through the pocket, gets the 5-pin. Not a lot of it, but enough to knock it down.
Hoskins up in the 3rd frame. 7 PBA national titles, 11 regional titles. Tossed a 300 game this week. Low game for the week, 172. He's averaged 235 on this pair.
Bill, maybe it was nerves early in the match as Hoskins makes a great shot in the 3rd frame and has a nice little 10-pin lead to show for it.
He's really come around the last few years, hasn't he?
Well, he has. It boils down to the belief he has in his own ability. Take a look at his winning percentage on television.
Second only to Danny Wasman's 707. So Steve Hoskins loves the TV cameras, loves the lights. 4th frame and a 3-bagger. Hey, Turkey, we're not too far away from Thanksgiving, so Steve Hoskins has the early advantage. He is 20 pins up here in the front. Beautiful Overland Park, Kansas. Mark Williams up in the 4th frame, down by 20.
Yeah, he's working on a strike, so big shot. Well, there's that speed change I told you about. He did slow the ball speed down, but a little bit left of his target, and that cuts right through the heart, leaving a very difficult split. It's got the 3 and the 6 on the right-hand side of the lane, the 4 and the 7 on the left.
Oh, give a shot, but loses some count, so Williams down. Here's Marshall with Dexter's footwork of the pros. Marshall?
Well, we'll take a look at Mark Williams. Here it is, a very methodical player. Watch the way he sort of sits down through the shot, heel toes it up the line. Really a very solid approach, one that you would try and teach your kids.
That's Dexter's footwork of the pros. Able to shake him loose, get him to go. Williams with a strike in the 5th. He won the 96 Merit mixed doubles with partner Alita Sill. Prior to that, however, his last title was the 1988 TFC. Steve Hoskins looks to make it 4 in a row.
See Steve taking a big breath just before setting himself. Wants to make sure he makes a good shot, gives himself an opportunity to strike.
And he does. Marshall, many players go through a certain routine.
I think it's imperative that all players go through some sort of a pre-shot routine. Gets you ready to play. Watch this ball.
That's unfair.
That's kind of where you want to put it. Look at the determination in his eyes.
All right, now let's see the crowd.
He's saying that a boy, Steve.
So after an open in the 1st frame, Hoskins, nothing but strikes.
46-pin lead right now for Hoskins, just halfway through the opening match.
10-pin.
Now half 10, came in just a little bit light in the pocket. The Messenger tried to come back, but it stopped about halfway there. And for Steve right now, concentrate on making the spares, finds himself 45 pins ahead in very good shape.
And converts the 10-pin spare. Hoskins won earlier this year the AC Delco Classic in Lakewood. A couple of 2nd place finishes, Rochester and Mechanicsburg Pennsylvania. Also a 5th place finish in Virginia Beach. Mark Williams got to get it going in the 6th.
Well, he found the line this time, Phil. The ball enters the pocket flush. All the pins take care of each other. He drops that deficit from 45 down to 35, and really still in the match. If he can get this strike here in the 7th frame, only 25 pins separating the two bowlers.
Oh, and a 7-pin. Boy, blew the rack and left the 7-pin standing. Big shot.
Yeah, he made the shot he needed to make, but the 5-pin sort of, it gets hit and then just falls down and lays there. It doesn't continue over into the 7-pin. Unfortunate for Williams.
Williams down by 36 in the opening match of the TFC. Back with more in a minute. Steve Hoskins and Mark Williams. Hoskins up by 36, up in the 7th frame.
And Phil, for Hoskins right now, it's just a matter of filling frames and saving count. The best that Mark Williams can do is 211. Hoskins working at a 217 pace. And there's the Hoskins family. There's Lisa. There's his son Ryan and daughter Lindsay.
Ah, good-looking family here to cheer on Daddy. And Steve Hoskins right now up by 36. He was the PBA Rookie of the Year a few years back, 1989. Threw a 300 game on television in Rochester. That was back in 97, worth a few extra dollars. And defeated Mark Williams earlier in match play this week.
I was there for that 300 game, Phil, and it was electrifying. Steve had a great time doing it with the fans. And look at that. Just when he's got himself in good position, all he needed were just to fill the frames. Now, if he does not pick this up, look at the way the ball cuts right through the heart. There's the 4, the 7, and the 10. And I'm not so sure I would even go for this right now. Maybe just take the 2 pins, save the count. We'll see what Steve has in mind.
Took your advice.
Yeah, but it's got to put new life into Mark Williams. All of a sudden, Mark Williams with a chance to get back into this match.
Williams, 2-time TFC winner. Only one player has won this prestigious event 3 times. That Mike Durbin, 72, 82, and 1984. Bringing it back and got it to go. There's his wife.
There's Debbie. She approves this next shot, the biggest shot of the tournament for Mark Williams. Not only will it give him a chance to win this match, but it puts the pressure back on Steve Hoskins, where a moment ago there was no pressure at all.
Mark has not won a title from that 5th seeded spot. In fact, this year no player has won from that 5th seeded position. There you see the score. Williams needs it here in the foundation frame.
Will it hook? Ball just never picked up a roll. Steve Hoskins fortunate, sitting there. He's looking at the scoreboard. I think he understands that he's back in really good shape again.
Interesting, Mark told me before the telecast that a little bit more oil out there this week, and that's why he did so well, but perhaps his downfall today.
Well, it lends itself to his particular style, because he does like to throw the ball slow and hook it. And there's less oil on the lanes this week. It just plays as if there's more. It's a different kind of oil. Something that I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of in the future.
Hoskins in the 9th frame. Beautiful looking shot. The winner of this match moves on to take on Mike Miller.
Take a look at that high backswing of Steve Hoskins. What I like about the way he bowls is that he's very, very much committed when he throws the ball. Very much like Walter Ray Williams Jr. is not afraid to let the ball go. Good shot or bad shot, he really lets it go with great authority.
Up by 24. And
Well, he still needs to get a couple of these pins.
Not sure he had that in mind.
Well, he certainly didn't. If he were to get 9 pins here on this particular shot, that would give him 193. The best Mark Williams could do is 191. If he gets 8, there could be a tie, but
that's a winner.
And there's this little girl. There's Lindsay. She says, that a way to go, Daddy.
Not quite a strike, but a big spare in the 10th frame. With a strike here, Hoskins, 205.
And an important shot. You know, the last few shots, Steve has not been wired in, especially on this left-hand lane. He needs to get himself ready for Mike Miller.
204 for Steve Hoskins. We're at Incredibowl in Overland Park, Kansas, site of this year's Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Now a word from the Professional Bowlers Association. And it is match 2 in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Hoskins taking on Mike Miller. And you had mentioned before, towards the end of that match, Hoskins searching a little bit.
Well, he was searching on the left lane, and we'll see if he can get this lane back again. If Mike Miller gets it going, he's got the power on the ball to strike all day. First frame for Hoskins, through the nose, leaves the 6-pin and the 10-pin. He's lost a little bit, and for Mike Miller, who has got to be nervous, watching his opposition start like that, it's got to help.
Hoskins defeated Mark Williams in that opening match by 30. Oh, picks it up. A little bit better than the first game when he opened with an open.
A little better start, but still kind of lost. Let's take our first look at the powerful Mike Miller.
Without the thumb.
Cups the ball in his hand. Look, the thumb does not even enter the thumb hole at all, and bang. Fortunate, just the 2-pin. He's very pleased with that. Expected the ball to hook back.
Miller, 6'1", 180 pounds. Been out here for 17 years.
Watch the ball come in light. Fortunate the 10-pin fell out. A lot of times when the ball comes back that far, you leave the 2-pin and the 10-pin. He switches balls, puts his thumb in that ball to throw it very, very straight. Now, Mike was on tour back in the early 80s, and he was what was known as a stroker. He did not throw a big hook, and then he decided he needed more power on the ball, and he tried this nose-thumb thing. Everybody laughed at him when he first started doing it. He's been very successful without putting the thumb in the ball now.
He's won a couple of titles. Second frame. There's a good shot at it. He can twist it up, out, and back. Boom. Oh, my. That's fun to watch. I would think it'd be tough to go with the spare ball. You put the thumb in as we take another look.
Well, great shot from Mike Miller. The ball just high flush in the pocket, and the problem with the no thumb is getting consistent, making shot after shot. The thumb is there to help you control the shot. We take a look at Steve Hoskins on lane 24.
Well, looks like a little Don Johnson throwing that right hand out a little bit. And a strike in the second. We are dead even.
Well, it was a little bit of fortunate is what it was, Phil. That ball's very high, and it stopped hooking at the back end of the lane. I thought that was going to be through the nose. As you can see, a little bit of a thank you from Steve.
Hoskins averaged 236 the first 6 games this week, and really just kept it up. Qualified in the number 4 spot. Moved on after he beat Mark Williams, and now taking on Mike Miller.
Hoskins, a player who generally likes to throw the big hook, is throwing hard and straight, what they call freezing the ball in the pocket. There's a double.
Beautiful looking shot by Hoskins, so he has a double. Miller down by 10. Miller up in the 3rd frame. First appearance for Mike of 98. Cashed in 9 of 24 events. High game this week, 280. Low game, 187. And he's averaged 222 on this TV pair. And he has a double, so match back to even. And Marshall, here's Dexter, footwork of the pros. Take a look at Mike Miller.
Watch Mike as he takes very, very short steps, very deliberate, and that cup wrist, bang, the way he releases through the ball. And look at the solid formation at the line. Great looking delivery.
Dexter, footwork of the pros.
Chance to take this from an even match to a 10-pin lead for Mike Miller.
We talked about Hoskins' eyes a little bit. You take a look at Mike Miller. Ooh, he's focused, but an errant shot in the fourth.
That was all in the release. Did not get the proper fingers on the ball. I think the ball got down on the lane a little bit early and just cuts right through the heart. He leaves the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 10. Two ways to make this. You can either go left of the head pin and knock the head pin into the 6-10. You see his reaction of befuddlement. Or you can go between the 1 and the 3. We'll see how he plays it.
Gets 3 of the 5, but Mike Miller down now in match 2 to Steve Hoskins. Brunswick Tournament of Champions back with more in a minute.
Now we're back at the Incredible for the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. There's the PBA Commissioner, Mark Goebel. Good to have him with us this week. Well, Pete Weber and Tita Semez were inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame on Monday, November 16th during ceremonies here in Overland Park, Kansas. Weber, a 24-time titleist and one of only 4 players to have won bowling Triple Crown, joins his dad, Dick, as the only father-son combination in the Hall. And Tita Semez, a 3-time champion on the national tour, 8-time senior champion. He was inducted also in the senior veterans category. Congratulations to both of them.
Proud to say that was my dad, the artist. The 2 pictures in the background, and does a nice job. Nice to see the pictures hanging behind the Hall of Famers. Steve Hoskins up in the 4th, working on a double, leads by 19.
Well, he answers the call when he has the opportunity to take advantage of a break. He really gets it done. Now watch this little reaction. Dancing Steve.
After a spare to start this game, 3 strikes up in the 5th, lead by 29. (13 and 11 in match play this week. Distracted.
Now something distracted Steve. I'm not sure what it was. Usually, you know, with our new format, there's lots of distractions out there. People hooping and hollering, and Steve said, that's okay, we'll start it all over again. It'd be interesting to see if that might be a shot clock violation. 25 seconds to get the shot off on our telecast. Steve's certainly taking more time than that.
Brings it back.
And was it worth the wait? I think he said it was.
Hoskins getting the crowd going. 4 in a row for Hoskins.
Take a look at the way these pins scatter all over the place, and if you think the pins are fun to watch, watch this. He's not done.
Mike Miller hung around the top 5 or 6 all week long. Very consistent this week. He gets him to scatter.
There's Mike's family.
Wife and Jody Ann.
Boy, Chris.
Well, Mike Miller has to get it going now. I mean, we're halfway through this match, but a lot can happen in a short time out here.
Well, he can. He's 39 down right now. Strike here will take it to 29. And more importantly, this is the same lane that he left that 1-2-4-6-10 on. Really, for confidence factor, needs to make a good shot on 24. And he made a great shot. That's a solid 10. 6-pin wrapped around the bottom of the 10-pin. Tough break and an important time as Jody Ann and Chris take a look at that. Watch the 6-pin, second from the right around the bottom. And the reaction of his family. Ugh.
Now that's called a ringing 10, is that right, Marshall?
Yeah, it's a ringing 10, or you can call it a hard 10, or you can call it many things that can't be discussed on national television.
Not lucky. There's Jody Ann. Good look at the family, the Miller family, as Steve Hoskins now in the 6th frame. leads by 39.
That he pulled, and he got away with it. The ball was left of his target, and it just held as there's a very happy family of Steves. There's Lindsay, little boy Ryan, and Lisa. Very pleased with the way Steve is bowling right now. And
well, this is the first time that Steve has made a telecast here in the Tournament of Champions. In fact, last year he placed 50th in the TSC.
He's starting to work the crowd while they were taking a shot of his family. He's over there trying to make the crowd get even louder. He has had much success in the arena formats. Won the Touring Players Championship in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago when it really jump-started his career.
Got it out, coming back, and just a 10-pin. Here in the 7th frame for Hoskins, his 5th TV appearance of the year. He had 5 TV appearances last year.
We'll watch the 6th pin as it just sits in the channel, will not come back out. And right now, the position Steve's in, that's fine. He's hitting the pocket. He had 5 in a row. He's up by 48 pins. Just fill the frame, Steve. You should be in good shape.
Steve Hoskins in control here in match 2. Leads by 48 right now over Mike Miller here at Incredibowl. And this certainly is a beautiful facility. They have an arcade room, 15,000 square feet, sports bar, 10,000 square feet. Employs 150 people. This is just a gorgeous center.
Very impressive. Glad to be here, I'll tell you.
Mike Miller,
needs
7th frame.
To strike. Well, that'll pretty much do it for Mike. He needs to make this. If he makes a spare and then could strike out, he's got an outside chance. But Steve Hoskins dominating with 5 in a row, and Mike Miller right now struggling with what could possibly be his 2nd open frame in the first 7.
It's just 1, so Miller having some problems.
You know, it's a shame that Mike isn't bowling better, because you watch Steve Hoskins get all excited when he gets going. Mike Miller's pretty exciting too, but it's hard to get pumped up when you're struggling.
The winner of this match will take on Walter Ray Williams Jr. Seven pin for Miller in the 8th frame. So it looks like Hoskins right now going to move on to take on Walter Ray Williams Jr. What a year he has had. What a fall tour Walter Ray has had. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit as Miller picks up the spare. This is the PBA's first visit to Overland Park since 1989 when Butch Soper won the King Louis Open. First time the PBA Tour's biggest event has come to Incredibowl, which is less than 2 years old. Fans, the crowd, been great all week. Oh, that's unfair. The assassin. Oh, my.
Now, Steve found himself a little bit of room, and that's what the bowlers are trying to do. You always want to try, as we take a look at Steve Hoskins, low profile, high backswing, strong follow through. A good action, strong ball going through the pins. It's important to try and develop a little bit of room on the lane. If you feel like you've got to hit one board at 25 feet down the lane, you're probably not going to do very well. But if you can build a little area, build some confidence, you'll get a lot of those.
Hoskins putting on a show. Hoskins will declare Hoskins the winner, up 71. Mike Miller in the 9th, finishing it out. Frustrating afternoon.
Well, a good shot for Mike Miller, and I would personally like to thank Mike Miller along with Parker Bone III, Mike Albee, Curtis Odom, Jason Couch, and Doug Kent. They donated a lot of time to Josh Hyde, who has cerebral palsy. They drove 10 hours out of their way and 10 hours back to raise $8,000 for Josh, and it was certainly something that I think the people, the bowling fans, need to know about, so we'll take our hats off to those gentlemen.
Ambassadors for the sport, a 10-pin. That's what it's all about here on the PBA Tour, giving him time.
And even when Mike hits the pocket, as he was relating to as he was coming back, his ball is entering the pocket at the wrong angle. It's coming in too steep, so it's a solid hit on what was a good shot. And for Mike Miller, 178, the best he can do. Certainly disappointing, but on the other hand, gratifying. He'll finish 4th in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. That's a great week and a pretty nice payday for Mr. Miller.
Well, Miller made the finals in the 91 TFC in Akron. He finished 3rd in that event. Loves major events, always does very well in major tournaments, and there you go. Take that.
There's a little of his personality coming out, but unfortunately we weren't able to really see the real Mike Miller and the kind of fun that he likes to have on the lanes. But here comes the real deal, Steve Hoskins. He can strike out for 269.
After opening with a 204 to beat Mark Williams. Steve Hoskins has been red hot. Next up for Hoskins, Walter Ray Williams Jr. Well, the finals of the Reichert Cup competition was contested prior to today's championship round. The Reichert Cup pits a team of 8 U.S. pros against a team of 8 international stars in singles, doubles, and team competition. The team competition came down to the last frame, and who do you go to? That's right, Walter Ray Williams Jr. He doubled in the 10th to secure the win for the United States. The U.S. team retained the Reichert Cup, winning 15-6, and there's a beautiful look at that Reichert Cup. And Jack Reichert right there, along with Johnny Petraglia, the coach for the U.S. team.
A lot of pride that goes into that. The first game, the international team had a very, very big lead. But the U.S. got it done. Walter Ray Williams Jr. He'll be bowling Steve Hoskins in our next match right after this.
In match 2, Steve Hoskins, an easy winner, 268 to 178. 9 strikes for Hoskins as he gets ready now to take on the top-ranked player in the world, that being Walter Ray Williams Jr. here in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Well, we're halfway home to crowning a new champion here in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions, and while we have a minute, the bowling industry, the bowling family lost somebody very dear to all of us this past week as Eddie Elias passed away, the founder of the PBA Tour. And it's hard to believe, but back in 1958, just a handful of players, he started the tour. And within just a couple of years, the tour blossomed to over 30 tournaments, and the PBA Tour going strong today. Let me send it over to my partner, Marshall Holman, who had a very special relationship with Eddie Elias.
We all mourn the loss of PBA founder Eddie Elias, who died earlier this week at the age of 69. Elias organized the PBA in 1958 and assured its legitimacy among major sports by landing broadcast coverage for the tour in 1962. His innovative mind was the first to pair corporate sponsorship and the PBA's television exposure with the creation of the Tournament of Champions event. Elias's skills evolved as his company began representing other well-known athletes and celebrities such as Chichi Rodriguez, Buzzy Zeller, comedian Danny Thomas, and many others. Elias was proud of his Akron, Ohio roots, but first and foremost will be remembered as a devoted family man who leaves behind his beloved wife Peggy, daughters Rainey, Annie, and a family that includes so many whose lives are richer from his touch.
Coming up, match 3, it will be Steve Hoskins going up against Walter Ray Williams Jr. That coming up, but first, Marshall Holman with our leader. Marsh?
Thank you, Phil. I'm here with the tournament leader, Bryan Goebel, local favorite, Bryan Goebel. The energy these people are giving you, it's got to feel great.
I'll tell you what it is. I got goosebumps. It feels really great. I've had so much fun this week. All these people here cheering for me. It's great.
Now, I noticed in practice you were using a couple of different balls, and I crossed with you in the qualifying of this tournament, a ball I hadn't seen you use all week. What's the game plan today?
Well, with the lights and everything, the lanes seem to go a little quicker. They seem to dry out just a little quicker. I've got one in my hands that'll go down the lane a little easier. I don't have to fight it so hard. Just keep up my speed and try to rip it and grip it.
All right. Good luck to you, partner. Back up to you, Phil.
All right, thanks a lot, Marshall, Steve Hoskins, and Walter Ray Williams Jr. here in match 3, the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions at Incredible in Overland Park, Kansas. Hoskins has moved his way now through 2 matches, 204 to 174, and then in match 2, 268 to 178. No player yet has really given Hoskins a game, but if any player can do it, it's Walter Ray Williams. Hoskins' first shot here in the semifinal match.
You wouldn't think it'd be as easy to shoot 260 against Walter, but Steve is getting some very friendly pin carry. That's a light hit. The 5 and the 7, the last 2 pins to fall over. Watch as the ball comes in light. There's the 5, there's the 7, and there's the surrender.
Walter Ray Williams, first shot.
You watch Walter throw one shot, and there's absolutely nothing impressive about the way he throws the ball. But when there he is. That's Walter's ball. The pins are impressed. His individual shot does not impress. What impresses is the fact that he can repeat it over and over. He is the greatest bowler on our tour today.
Got it to set, but the 4-pin.
Come on.
What does he mean by that?
Well, trust it means let the ball go out to the right. Don't be afraid to let it go. And Walter Ray generally is not afraid to let the ball go and does trust it very, very
And these
much
players
the majority of the time.
do not miss those single pin spares, do they? And I don't think Walter will. So Williams starts off the semifinal match with a strike and spare. Hoskins with a strike, and now the crowd starting to chant Steve.
Well, Steve's been out there for 45 minutes or so, and the people are becoming more and more comfortable with him, and he certainly endears himself to the fans with the actions and the way that he lends himself to the people.
Not this time. Leaves the 7.
Well, he's carrying a lot of those hits, but this time, 7-pin will not cooperate. Could be the first time that you've actually seen Steve Hoskins play this particular line. Generally, he likes to be inside and just absolutely hook the lane. Shows his versatility.
I'll update you now on Steve Hoskins' TV record. He's won 2 matches today, so he's now 29-13, and that is impressive on television. We are tied up here in the semifinal match. The winner of this game to take on our tournament leader, Bryan Goebel from nearby Shawnee, Kansas.
I think that shot speaks for itself. And look at the confident walk of Steve Hoskins. Right there, just perfect. And there's the fan club right there. That's number 1, and I think they're all tied for number 1.
Walter comes right back. Boy, this would just top off a phenomenal year. I know that with Walter Ray last year, 14 TV appearances. This year, this is his 10th TV appearance, but especially this fall tour, he has been unstoppable.
Well, it's unlike anything I've seen. I've been on the tour since 1974. I've never seen this kind of dominance over an 8-week segment like Walter Ray Williams has performed.
Cashed in 19 out of 25 tournaments, up in the 4th. Fortunate not to leave a big split, I think.
Now, ball cut right through the heart of the pins, leaves only the 4 and the 7. And you're right, Phil, the 10-pin was standing momentarily. There's Paige Pennington, Walter's wife. Watch the 10-pin. It's the last one to fall, and Walter's pretty well pleased that it did.
As he picks it up, and another amazing stat. I mean, Walter Ray making his 112th TV appearance. I mean, Earl Anthony had a few more than that, but that's impressive.
I believe that's the 3rd best. I think it's I know Earl had more than that, as Steve Hoskins takes a re-rack, doesn't like the look of the pin, so he asked the tournament director, as long as you do it in your first order of business, you're allowed. There's Steve's 1998 earnings. He'd like to add $60,000 to his to those 1998 earnings.
How many re-racks are you allowed a game?
You're only allowed 2.
Hoskins working on a strike. Oh!
10-pin lead.
Beautiful looking shot for Hoskins. Pins flying everywhere.
Did you like that, Lindsay? Take a look at the line as Hoskins plays very direct down the lane. Ball hooks right at the very end, just enough for the 5-pin to knock it over into the 7.
You had mentioned it before, Marshall, but it looks like a more determined Steve Hoskins.
Well, ever since he won the TPC in Pittsburgh, not only more determined, but certainly supremely confident, which is something that almost happened overnight.
Well, he's got it cooking again here in the semifinal match. 3 in a row. But Walter won't be phased by that. He'll come right back.
Well, we'll take a look at the pins as Steve Hoskins hit perfect in the pocket, and let's have a little dance from Steve as he's loving that shot. 3 in a row. Walter Ray Williams trying to answer back. Will the 10-pin fall? Messenger came back for it, but it was late. Walter having trouble.
Walter trying to become a 30-30 player out here. 30 titles, 30 seconds. Try to even that up a little bit, but he's got to get by this very determined Steve Hoskins as Walter picks up the 10-pin.
You know, Walter started out this segment certainly behind Parker Bone III in the race for Player of the Year, Bowler of the Year. As he gives himself a little pep talk. It's all right. Come on, Walter. You can do it. Right now, after what he's done this fall, you're looking at the Player of the Year right there.
7 of 8 shows here on the fall tour for Walter Ray.
Walter moved on that shot and also projected the ball further down the lane. We take a look at that scoreboard. Walter Ray down by 21 pins, but he's working on a strike. We'll be right back after this.
Brant Incredible, and who's that? Oh, Danny and Jody Jackson, proprietors, and Danny Jackson. The name sounds familiar. Well, what a great athlete, Marshall.
Yeah, he certainly is. Certainly was. Great pitcher for the Cardinals. And the Royals right here in Kansas City, and quite a bowling enthusiast. He bowled with us earlier in the week. Pleasure to be here.
Pretty good bowler. I heard he averaged about 215 and so a couple of World Series rings, and this is just a real treat to come here to Incredible in Overland Park, Kansas. As Steve Hoskins now going through his routine. Started off with a strike, then a spare, now 3 in a row. He is up by 21 over Walter Ray Williams Jr. here in the semifinal match.
And believe me, he knows he's bowling Walter Ray, and there is there's a big difference when you're bowling the best. And that's the best shot he's thrown the entire tournament.
So Hoskins with 7 PBA titles, 11 regional titles. 4 in a row, up in the 7th frame. Wants the crowd to get going. Here you see the score, up by 31.
No stranger to strings of strikes. He shot 300 on October 15th, 97 in Rochester. So 4 in a row, that's not going to intimidate Steve Hoskins. Just make him hungry for more.
Well, the 2-pin, but the 8 wanted to stand, went down.
There's the opening for Walter Ray. Ball's going to come in light. Not enough of the head pin. 2-pin, the only one standing. Shouldn't be any problem for Steve Hoskins. Hard and straight.
He's had 2 back-to-back solid seasons out here on tour, and picks up the single-pin spare.
Disappointed with the delivery. You know, when you're locked in like that, you've got 4 strikes in a row, you're bowling the best player in the world. You don't want to give him any chance at all. Well, right now, Walter, this is your chance. A double here to take it to a 20-pin lead. Here comes Mr. Money.
Well, let me ask you, earlier today, Hoskins and Walter Ray involved in the Reichert Cup. Does that have an effect on a player?
Well, as we take a look at a solid shot from Walter Ray Williams, I think that could only help the fact that they bowled earlier today in the Reichert Cup. It kept them, got them loose early. But it is a different pair of lanes they're bowling on now. And there's a solid 10 for Walter Ray on the shot that would have brought him within 10 pins. I'll tell you, those solid 10s, they take your momentum and they just put a stop to it.
As you can see, the week went very well for Walter, starting out 5th after the opening round, crept up to that top spot, and then fell down to 2nd for the TV finals. Picks up the 10-pin. I'd like to know the last time he missed a single-pin spare. Oh.
Well, I don't know. I watch him bowl every week. I can't remember.
May have been in the league like 20 years ago. Steve Hoskins knows that this match is his. Should he continue to pound the pocket, he is up 21 in the 8th frame.
Now, Walter Ray, 228, the best he can bowl. Hoskins now working at 229. Now Hoskins working at a 228 pace, so there's a little bowling left to be done. I'm sure Walter does the math a lot faster than I do. It's going to be the 6th pin that's going to lay in the channel. It's not going to come back up to get the 10.
Hoskins picks up the 10 pin as both bowlers now head into the 9th frame here in the semifinal match of the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. And Mike Durbin, the only player to win this tournament 3 times. And Jim Godman a couple of times, Dave Davis, Earl Anthony, and Mark Williams, and Marshall Holmes.
Who's that guy?
And you had a great week this week, Marshall, finishing 22nd. Nice to get out there bowling with the guys again.
It was fun to get a little different insight to what they're really doing out there.
Another 10 pin. Not over.
Certainly not. And a shot that was very important. That would have held the count, kept him at a 20-pin lead. Now it's down to 19. Walter Ray Williams, after Steve hopefully converts this, will try and strike out. If he does strike out, he'll force Hoskins to double in the 10th.
Picks up the 10-pin. Hoskins won a PBA major to his credit, the 97 Bayer Brunswick Touring Players Championship. Walter Ray, 228, should he strike here in the 9th and go off the sheet.
Now, first things first, Phil, right here, very important, very important. And a 10-pin for Walter Ray. The frustration is the fact that he liked it off his hand, but once again, there's our friend, the 6th pin that's being lazy in the channel. Doesn't come out. And he makes his spare, and best Walter Ray can do, 217. If he does, he'll force Hoskins to at least show up in the 10th frame, but right now it's looking more and more as if it's going to be Hoskins and Goebel.
You know, a lot of people say, well, how can the greatest player in the game struggle? He struggled a little bit last week and again this week, but he's hitting the pocket.
Well, he's hitting the pocket. He's having trouble carrying. It's a fickle game. There, he finally strikes. He's certainly not giving up. He knows there are stranger things that can happen than to have a man open in the 10th frame to give you a match.
Did he move a bit on that last shot? It looked like the entry into the pocket just a bit different.
He may have stepped a little bit further to the left to try and delay the roll of the ball. From our vantage point, it was a little difficult to tell.
Nothing wrong with that shot.
Oh, he's a great shot maker, Phil. You know, he's shaking his hands right now, shaking his head, going, well, you got it. I made the shots I wanted to make. I threw the ball right where I wanted to. I couldn't knock him down.
Once again this week, Pete Weber, along with Tito Semez, inducted into Hall of Fame Monday night, and Walter Ray Williams Jr. inducted back in 1995 as he leaves.
And then a solid 8. But that's enough. 9 pins. That forces Steve Hoskins to throw any kind of a mark in the 10th frame. Strike or a spare. And I could tell you right now, in this situation, you don't want to shoot any spare. And you just want to strike and get the darn match over with.
As Steve takes his second re-rack. And now I was going to ask you, is it easier for a player to get up and needing a spare or needing a strike?
Well, I think it's easier to make a good shot when you need to throw a strike. When you just need to throw a spare, sometimes you can get a little careful. And if you get yourself careful on these kind of lanes, you can be in big trouble. Now, Steve's been bowling well in his matches, so I should think he'd make a good shot, but
Steve's son trying to get a little bit better vantage point.
a lot riding right here.
Solid 10-pin.
Good shot. If he misses it, 215. If he makes it, all he needs to do is keep the ball on the lane. So needs to make this spare and get 1 pin on his fill. The 1 pin's easy. This 10-pin could be difficult. And I guarantee you, the man was nervous. I was nervous for him. I know that situation as his family approves. When you're in the 10th frame, you've got 1 spare to make it to the title.
Let me ask you, he's checking with an official over there, but you really want to know what you need.
Oh, absolutely. You want to be very, very certain. High and hard.
Straight, gets a strike. Steve Hoskins going to take on the hometown hero, Bryan Goebel. And we'll have that match coming up after this. And it's been Steve Hoskins this afternoon, defeated Mark Williams in match 1, then clobbered Mike Miller 268 to 178, and just defeated Walter Ray Williams Jr. 226 to 216, and he moves on now to the title match.
We'll take a look at some of the other finishers. Randy Peterson, what a heartbreak. 104 pins into the lead, and Mark Williams shot 278 to his 184. He was out. Bob Benoit, local favorite, had a good finish. Jason Couch, he won his 5th title at the Showboat earlier this year, and David Traber, he won his 4th title earlier this year in Peoria. Doug Kent, the versatile one, finishes in 10th place. Norm Duke, another great player, last week's champion with 16 titles. Andy Nyer, part-time player. And there's John Mazza, the proprietor of Bay City. Parker Bone III, he's going to finish runner-up to Player of the Year. And Ricky Ward, he won earlier this year in Albuquerque. Pete Weber inducted into the PBA's Hall of Fame this year. And a Hall of Famer himself, Wayne Webb. Akiya Harada from Japan had a great finish. One of the international qualifiers to make the top 24. And the ageless one, Ernie Schlegel. Dennis Horan, winner of the PBA Brunswick Championship, and Carl Freitag, the 2nd international player to make it. He's a Team USA'er.
But then, of course, Marshall Holman, 2-time TSC champion, who rolled one of 6 perfect games this week. Marshall, what'd you do with that ball?
Well, I gave the ball to Danny Jackson. It's going to be upstairs at Danny Jackson's Backstop Grill as we see my good buddy David Husted in 23rd, and Roger Bowker, he was in 24th place.
Mike Durbin out here this week, the alternate. I'm sure that 300 ball worth an awful lot.
Well, it was worth a lot to me for 1 game, but I might have worn it out.
I always wondered if a player shoots a 300 game, I mean, I'd keep bowling with that, but I guess you decided to give it up. Hoskins right now, the last major title he won, in fact, the only major title he won in the Touring Players Championship. He won 4 matches, trying to do it again here in this big event. First frame title match. Oh, blows the rack.
And right now, all the momentum going to Steve Hoskins. All the crowd support is going to Bryan Goebel. Take a look at the 5-pin. It's going to rush left.
Bryan Goebel, hometown favorite from Shawnee, Kansas. Boy, the crowd has been behind this guy.
And look at that start. 2, 4, 10. Well, in order to make this, Bryan has got to get the ball to the left-hand side of the 2-pin, rush it into the 10. Certainly can be made. And it'd be a great momentum boost for him if he could pick this up to answer Steve Hoskins' strike.
Clips it, so an open frame for Goebel.
You know, it just seems at this point that we've watched Steve Hoskins bowl 3 games, and everything seemingly going his way, and not to mention the fact that he's made a lot of great shots.
Well, Hoskins, over 3 games, averaging 232. His opponents, 3 games, averaging 189. Goebel, 37 years old, out here, 17 years. Try to get the ball back. Able to strike it on in the 2nd frame.
This ball makes the turn back up to the pocket, Phil. And I think a very pleased Bryan Goebel.
Hoskins with a strike in the first frame. Shaking his head a little bit, Marshall. Got the strike.
And a delayed reaction of happiness from Steve. I'm not sure what bothered him on that shot. Looked good from here. We take a look at Steve Hoskins' profile. I think what happened was foul light went off, but as you can see, he's about 3 inches short of the foul line.
Glad we had that angle. Instant replay. So Hoskins with a double takes the early lead once again.
Every once in a while that can happen. The light will go off just from the ball hitting the lane. Is it 3 in a row? Oh, Steve, you're going for the biggest title of your life, my friend.
Hoskins 3 in a row. Should he fire a 300 in this title match? Extra 25,000.
Steve Hoskins, high flush in the pocket. Yes.
Well, he has put the pressure on each opponent out the gate and doing it again to Bryan Goebel.
Came in light last time. That ball left of target and got the ultimate 2-pin off the sideboard kick. And there's Bryan's family, and they're loving that. Kelly and Lauren. Watch the pin. Now watch the head pin as it goes to the sideboard, comes back and kicks out the 2-pin. That was, I don't know if we call that friendly local luck or as Kelly and Lauren watch. And as I said, I crossed in the qualifying with Bryan, and his little girl was so cute. She was rooting on Daddy from the first shot. For 3 in a row. Oh my gosh, look at him take that 2-pin tripper and turn it into 3 in a row, and we've got a match.
It just seems that he has some problems on lane 24, and we'll have to find out when he is up next. But Steve Hoskins again taking another re-rack.
Doesn't like the way the pins are sitting, so he takes one of his 2 re-racks that he can, according to our rules. As far as Bryan Goebel is concerned, on lane 24, the last shot was nothing more than just inside. It hit the oil and it slid. Needs to be able to trust the ball. For Steve Hoskins needs to do what he just did the last frame. He's wired in.
Up in the 4th. Opening strikes in the first 3 frames.
There's 4 in a row for Steve Hoskins, and look how loose he is. He's got room out there. That that ball didn't hook. Left of his target. Ball holds the pocket.
Beautiful.
That's one for Daddy.
Way to go, Pops. $60,000 on top, so buy her a lot of candy.
No player has won from the 5th seed, and Steve Hoskins looking to change that.
Won earlier this year in the AC Delco Classic in Lakewood.
There's 5 in a row. 5 in a row for Steve Hoskins. He did not qualify 5th. He qualified 4th, but that's coming from the bottom all the way to the top. As he's got a 32-pin lead against Bryan Goebel.
Very difficult to do, but then again, the advantage perhaps to Hoskins Marshall because lined up a little bit.
Well, absolutely. That's what I mentioned earlier. He certainly has the advantage. If Bryan Goebel can make a good shot on 24 and strike, not a lucky one, he needs a good shot on this lane. He could be in this match. Better, much better, a little slower ball speed. Boy, it's the battle of the kids.
Couple of good ones.
It's Lindsay and Lauren going at it. Take a look at the ball coming back into the pocket, and a much better shot from Bryan. Certainly in the match, and Lauren loving it.
She knows when her dad strikes. So Bryan Goebel now with 4 in a row after an open in the first frame, up in the 6th.
That's got a hook. Oh, yes. And now Steve Hoskins is in for a match.
Oh, yeah, this is the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions.
Take a look at the reaction of Bryan Goebel. Come on, strike for me.
Cameraman getting pretty close. All right. Hoskins, the first 5. One at a time for Hoskins. 6 in a row, halfway home to a 300 game and an extra little payday of $25,000.
And I think you're right, Phil. Not too early to mention that 12 in a row will buy him an extra $25,000. Steve Hoskins still the more loose of the 2 players. But all it takes is one opening. Starts out with 6 strikes in a row, and he's in a dogfight.
Look at those eyes. Focused on his target.
Well, now not only does the 300 game leave the equation, but he's left himself the difficult 3, 9, and 10. A split that can be made, but certainly not easy. And Bryan Goebel is going to find himself, even if Hoskins makes this, at least Bryan thankful that he stopped striking and gave him a chance.
Difficult spare, Marshall, huh?
Gotta fit the ball between the 3 and the 10.
Did that, just not able to take out that back pin, the 9 pin. So we have a match here in the Tournament of Champions. Well, the Winter Tour kicks off at National Bowling Stadium, National Senior Doubles in Reno, Nevada, January 17th, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. That is the opening stop of 1999, the first of 7 events on the 99 ESPN PBA Winter Tour. And Marshall, we got ourselves a dogfight.
Well, 7 pins. Bryan Goebel trails by. This is the lane. They gave him trouble in the first frame. He's gotten a little closer the last time. Tripped the 2 pin earlier for a lucky strike. Needs to keep the speed down.
Here it comes.
And allow the ball to hook back in, something like that. Right now, I really believe this is the first time that Bryan Goebel feels like he's really in this match and has a great chance to win. This was the best shot he threw. He kept the speed slow, enabling the ball to hook back up into the pocket. Get all of them. He knows it's a great shot. Just fall down 8 pin. That's the only thing that could have hurt him on that shot.
Today's winner receives a 5-year exemption into the Tournament of Champions, besides the $60,000 on top. Goebel in the 8th.
Up by 3. Up by 13.
Well, first shot, errant for Goebel, but then he has ripped off 7 straight strikes and leads by 13.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have thought that he was going to be able to do this after the start, but look at that great shot. Ball comes in light. He's praying that it'll just carry. Somehow, 10 pins fall over. Back to Hoskins. And now things going everything but Steve Hoskins' way. He comes in high, leaves a split. Open frame. Next shot, right in the pocket. Solid 10. Down by 13 pins. Bryan Goebel waiting and watching.
Picks up the 10-pin spare, but Hoskins started off this title match with the first 6 strikes. Then failed to convert the 3-9-10 and open in the 7th. Then comes back with a 10-pin. Able to make the spare. Finds himself down 13 up in the 9th frame.
Bryan Goebel with 7 strikes. 7 strikes of his own right now.
9th frame, very important.
Well, needs it to set the 10th up.
Hoskins beat Goebel earlier this week in match play.
Came in high last time on that lane. Made the adjustment a little bit light. Splattered him out. He'll take it.
So Bryan Goebel up in the 9th, and from that top seed, Bryan 2-0 with a 225 average.
Well, he's going to raise his average today, Phil, but he may not win the tournament.
He defeated Hoskins 227-167 in Ontario, Canada, 1994 for his first win.
You can bet neither one are thinking about that right now. Oh, the light hit, the hit that the reactive balls, these new strong bowling balls, generally carry very, very well. Leaves nothing but the 7 pin as we take a look at the ball going down the lane. There goes the 5. Goes over towards the 7 pin, but something drew some interference and not going to be.
We're coming down. The TFC coming down to just the final 2 frames. Both players bowling exceptionally well.
Makes a spare. He's up by 12 pins. Now let's set the situation going into the 10th frame. Steve Hoskins with a possible 255. Bryan Goebel, if he throws 2 strikes and 9, that's 256, and he's your winner. So that last shot, if he would have carried that last one, that was really in his mind for the win.
10th frame in the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Best finish this year, 12th for Bryan in Las Vegas.
Now let's sit and watch. Same shot, a little bit light. Leaves the 7 pin. Right now, Steve Hoskins cannot be shut out. Important for Bryan Goebel to make the spare and then get at least 9 pins for 245. That would force Steve Hoskins to throw 2 strikes in the 10th frame. Boy, so, you know, under this much pressure, even the simplest of spares, not easy. Needs 9 pins here to force Hoskins to double. If he were to get 8 and Hoskins went strike, 9 spare, then we'd go into a 1-shot sudden death overtime.
Final shot, at least for this title match, for Bryan Goebel, our tournament leader.
Just wants to hit the pocket. That's enough. He knows. Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing, Phil.
245.
Steve Hoskins needs 2 strikes to win the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions.
Boy, I tell you what, as a little kid, you think about that. You know, in golf, you think about the Masters sinking that 8-footer for the win, and I'm sure in bowling, kids want that strike for the TSC.
There's absolutely no doubt. I know I did that when I was a youngster. I used to pretend I was bowling against Dick Weber, but right now, Steve Hoskins, you're bowling against Bryan Goebel. Anything less than 2 strikes, you're second, but he has the opportunity. If you'd have told him at the start of the week you're going to be in the 10th frame shooting for the championship, he'd have loved it.
Tenth frame.
Bryan Goebel. Bryan Goebel, he is your winner. And they finally, his wife just realized it. His daughter is absolutely ecstatic, and there's the congratulatory hug from Steve Hoskins. Bryan Goebel, he is the winner of the Brunswick World Tournament of Champions here in his own hometown.
Hometown hero Goebel takes the top prize, the beautiful trophy, the $60,000 top payday, the winner of the '98 Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. And now it's time for our Ginkoba moment of concentration. It came in the final frame. Steve Hoskins, the first shot in the 10th frame, needed a strike and then needed another one, but as you see, left a stubborn 10 pin. And that means that Bryan Goebel, the hometown hero, captures the Tournament of Champions and $60,000 top prize. Let's head down now to the lanes and Marshall Holman.
All right, thank you very much, Phil. Fred Projanic with the Brunswick Corporation with the $60,000 check for Bryan Goebel. And Bryan, one quick question. You've won the TSC. Did you ever think this moment would happen in your hometown?
You could ask me a week ago, I'd have told you were nuts big time. So this is fantastic. I want to thank Brunswick for tremendous tournament. This has always been great. The whole week they've put out a tremendous spread. They've done a lot for us. Thank you very much. It's been great. So,
all right, that's all we have time for. Back up to you, Phil.
Thanks a lot, Marshall. Congratulations to Bryan Goebel, the winner of the '98 Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. Be sure to join us next year, Sunday, January 17th, 1999, for the National Bowling Stadium, National Senior Doubles in Reno, Nevada, for the first stop on the Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN Winter Tour. Catch all of the action on ESPN. Until then, safe and happy holidays to you. Coming up next on ESPN, the FIS World Cup skiing from Park City, Utah to open the North American Alpine season. For my partner, Marshall Holman, I'm Phil Ferguson saying so long from a Credit Bowl in Overland Park, Kansas. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.